As you approach the summit of Ben Nevis, there are a series of cairns to follow to make sure that you don't stray off the path and fall hundreds of feet down the aptly named Gardaloo Gully. We tackled this route as part of the Three Peaks Challenge in 2016, starting with Snowdon, then Scafell Pike, and finishing with Ben Nevis. And I can still remember the exhaustion I felt as we were climbing Ben Nevis after 30 plus hours with very little sleep. It was close to midnight as we approached the summit, and there was driving sleet and high winds, and the visibility was so poor that it was only as you got to each cairn that you could just make out the next one. Each time I approached a cairn, I thought this must be the last one before the summit, but as I got there, I could just make out the next one through the fog and rain. It seemed never ending. To me, the pandemic feels a lot like that. With each lockdown, we hope to get control of the virus, but as restrictions are eased, we find that infections rise, rules change, and then we head into another lockdown. Each time there's a government review, we hope for the lifting of restrictions, but instead they continue as they are or are tightened further. Earlier this week, the latest figures showed a record number of daily deaths, 1,820, and it won't be long before the total number of deaths in the UK exceeds 100,000. Our NHS staff are utterly amazing in what they're doing to care for those who are ill. And we owe a huge debt to them and to the other key workers in our schools and shops and other areas who've kept our country going through this time. I mean, the good news is that the vaccine rollout is going well. However, even though we're nearing the summit, there are more cairns to go before we get there. So despite how tired we may feel, we need to keep doing the things which will help to bring down infection levels. And even when the vaccine rollout is complete, there will be more to do before life can return to anything like the normal we all knew 12 months ago. And after that, there'll still be more work needed to rebuild our economy in the years ahead. On Wednesday, I watched the inauguration of Joe Biden, and I was in awe of the young poet Amanda Gorman, whose powerful words spoke not only to the USA but to the rest of the world as well. Her poem was beautifully composed and delivered with such confidence and grace. So many lines resonated with me, but perhaps what struck me most was a question she posed at the beginning of the poem that she cleverly came back to and answered at the end. The question was, when day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? And her answer at the end was, the new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we are brave enough to see it, if only we are brave enough to be it. Just brilliant. 2,000 years ago, Jesus told his followers to let their light shine, encouraging them to step out in the face of opposition and to follow the way of love that he taught. Now that's easy to say, but when we're exhausted and anxious about the future, when we're carrying grief and loss, when we struggle to sleep and are dealing with death on as a day-to-day reality, how do we do that? How do we let our light shine when it feels like it has gone out? 3 things I've found that can help. 1 is gratitude. Take time each day to pause, to look back on the day for something for which you can be truly grateful. It might only be something small, but take time to remember these things. 2, bless others. I don't mean by praying for them, although you can do that too, but bless them by giving them a smile, sending them a card, or an encouraging email, text, or phone call. As we take our eyes off ourselves and do this, then it not only helps others, but it lights a spark in our hearts too. And thirdly, pray. Well, I would say that, wouldn't I? But prayer is a lot more than just asking for stuff. Sometimes prayer is just about being about resting and unburdening, about stargazing rather than astronomy. And in that, we can find a refreshing and a renewing of our soul. In that, we can find a peace to overcome our fears, a strength to carry on another day, a light to share with the others around us. Prayer like this is powerful, and the prayer course we're running over these next few weeks explores many different ways of praying. And if you'd like to explore some of those for yourself, you're very welcome to join us. So as we climb the hill before us, this hill before us, let's continue to encourage one another, because even though visibility might be poor and we can only just make out the next cairn, if we keep going together, we will get to the summit.